Welcome to the Cinemyrecaps. Today we are review The Ritual, released in 2017. Spoilers ahead. 5 lifelong companions from college, Phil, Dom, Hutch, Luke, and Rob, meet over drinks at a bar, and talk about plans for a gathering outing to find each other. Rob recommends climbing in Sweden, Eastern Europe, however is immediately shot somewhere around the others. Later in the evening, the gathering exits the bar and passes a shop. Luke wishes to pause and buy a container of vodka, which Rob goes with him in doing. While bantering in the shop, the pair sees the troubled clerk drooped against the divider behind the register. 2 furnished burglars rise out of the back room, and Luke takes cover behind a rack toward the finish of the path, leaving Rob frozen in dread. The burglars offend Rob, requesting his wallet, watch, and ring. Burglarize leaves behind the initial 2 eagerly, yet won't give them his ring, as it is his wedding ring. Luke, actually stowed away from sight, flips the container in his grasp and plans to intercede. Be that as it may, he is too delayed to even think about acting, and Rob is beat to a ridiculous degree before his eyes. To respect Rob's desire, the 4 set out on a climbing trip along Kungsleden, or King's Trail, in Sarek National Park in northern Sweden a half-year after his demise. Whenever Dom loses his balance and harms his knee, impeding his capacity to walk, Hutch counsels the guide and concludes that a backup course of action through a woods off the path will take them a fraction of the time. After entering the woods, the gathering experiences unusual peculiarities, including a destroyed elk dangling from the tree limbs and bizarre images cut on the trees. As sun sets, a heavy rainstorm douses the men. While searching for cover, they happen upon a neglected lodge and choose to break in and remain for the time being. Inside the lodge, they observe pieces of jewelry dangling from the dividers that portray comparable images as the runes cut in the tree. While investigating the second floor of the lodge, Phil finds an unusual wooden representation that is formed like a beheaded human middle with prongs for hands. During the evening, the 4 are tormented by bad dreams. After waking the following morning, Luke observes that he has supported a bunch of odd stabbings on his chest. The gathering tracks down Phil in the upper room, bare and stooping in supplication before the likeness. The gathering passes on the lodge to proceed with their movements more profound into the forest, attempting to get a handle on a way. After climbing an edge to acquire some point of view in regards to their area, Luke sees a human-like hand folded over the storage compartment of a far-off tree. While attempting to talk about his discoveries with the gathering, Dom is dubious of his report. A contention follows wherein Dom uncovers that he faults Luke for Rob's demise and calls Luke faint-hearted for neglecting to act during the burglary. Soon thereafter, Luke is woken from one more bad dream by shouts. Finding that Hutch's tent is unfilled, the 3 rush further into the forest, following Hutch's shouts. Before sunup, they understand that they have gotten derailed and can't remember where their campground was. They choose to proceed with their inquiry without their tents and supplies. The 3 happen upon Hutch skewered on tree limbs, similar as the destroyed deer they had viewed as before. The gathering recovers Hutch's body for his compass and blade, and afterward give him an improvised entombment by covering his body with tree limbs. Luke leaves Phil and Dom on the lower piece of an edge, climbing a slope that gives an outline of the whole woodland. He understands that they are moderately near the edge of the timberland, and furthermore spots smoke ascending from far-off open-air fires. He rejoins the 2 to let them know the news, however observes them with their spotlights pointed towards the trees, saying they heard a clamor. Out of nowhere, Phil is hauled off-screen by an inconspicuous animal. After looking for a concealing spot, Luke experiences Dom, and urges him to run with him. They get to their feet and start to run, the animal giving pursue. They pass Phil's body speared on the parts of a tree, almost a way of lights that prompts a little town. They look for cover in the primary structure they seen, and break down on the lodge floor, just to be beaten oblivious by its tenants. Whenever they stir, they wind up controlled by their hands in a storm cellar. An older lady enters the cellar and reviews the cut blemishes on Luke's chest. She pulls down her dress to uncover a comparative example on her chest. She goes to leave the cellar and expresses an order in an unknown dialect, which prompts 2 men to snatch Dom and carry him to the upper floor of the lodge. A more youthful lady enters the storm cellar and makes sense of that arrangements are being made for penance. Some time later, Dom is accompanied back to the cellar, beaten and bloodied, yet alive. He makes sense of for Luke that he will act as a human penance to the animal, and trains him to figure out how to get away and obliterate the town. Dom is taken beyond the lodge and brought to a wooden post, where his hands are bound behind his back. As day movements to night, a thunder can be heard from the backwoods. The detainers quickly tumble to their knees in love. Dom has a dream of his significant other rising up out of the trees and grasping his face. This is in actuality the animal that has been chasing after the men, and it looks similar to the wooden representation they found in the unwanted lodge. The animal eliminates Dom from the post and skewers him on the parts of a close-by tree, passing on him to bite the dust. Frantic to get away, Luke parts from one of his limitations by breaking his thumb, yet can't fix the second one preceding he is interfered with by the young lady's abrupt entry. Whenever Luke gets some information about the animal, she makes sense of that it is known as a Jotun, a divine being-like figure coming from Scandinavian folklore, and that they give it penances consequently to interminability. She expresses that Luke will participate in a custom where he will submit to the animal and join the clique, or be killed. After she leaves, Luke breaks liberated from his limitations and leaves the cellar. He dares to the upper floor of the lodge, hearing supplications and shouting fighting against imminent loss. A shut entryway, furnished with a consuming light. He opens the entryway and observes a curved assemblage of preserved, yet at the same time living people, obviously the final product of the eternality allowed by their love of the animal. Following Dom's last wish, he sets the admirers land. This act draws in the Jotun, who rises out of the woods to observe the lodge consuming. In a fury, the animal kills the leftover admirers. Luke utilizes this amazing chance to escape from the consuming lodge undetected, furnished with a rifle and a hatchet. Prior to running into the forest, Luke points and goes after the animal for all intents and purposes going to kill an admirer. The animal seeks after him, endeavoring to injure his brain by causing mind flights of his common bad dream. The animal ultimately gets him, and powers him onto his knees on various occasions, offering Luke an opportunity to submit. He utilizes a hatchet which he had recently taken from one of the admirers to strike the animal on its head. He then follows the daylight, arising out of the woodland into an open field. The animal doesn't rise out of the tree line, as it appears to not be able to follow. The beast thunders at him, and he shouts back in win. Luke abandons the beast and heads toward a cleared street with a passing vehicle, an indication of development.